So, my name is Kannan Moudgalya. I am a professor in chemical engineering. So, I am going to talk about some pedagogical methods, synchronous and asynchronous methods. I am happy that you have all come here. You are going to be with us for a week. You are with us for a week, and hopefully we will be able to share some of the things that we are doing here with you. In case there are any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me and ask me questions, right. So, these are some of the topics that I plan to cover. What is a synchronous method? What is an asynchronous method? And then how does one combine synchronous and asynchronous method? Okay. Can somebody tell me what is a synchronous method? Can somebody tell me the difference between the two? Difference between a synchronous method of teaching and asynchronous method of teaching. Have you heard these terms before? Okay. Can anybody know the meaning of at least one of them? No problem. What we have now is a synchronous method. That is a conventional method. When I talk, everybody listens, and everybody listens to the same word, same sentence, same concept at the same time. Okay, that is a synchronous method. What is asynchronous method? We will see later. Okay. So, the regular classroom is a synchronous method. You can use ICT, information and communication technology, to reach out to many people, thousands of people at a time using this. I can talk in a TV, for example, thousands of people can listen to me and learn from that. Okay. Apparently, in places like Australia, in old days, they used to teach through radio, and all people because Australia is a very sparsely populated country, and a teacher could be thousands of kilometers away, and students would listen to it in radio, but at the same time they have to be there at that time, only then they pick it up. So, that is known as synchronous method. So, synchronous method is what we use in the classroom. It is the same method that can be made available through information and communication technology. The question is, if you do that, is it effective? It is not enough if we have the technology, but is it going to be useful to people? Will people learn? So, those are the things that I would like to cover. Then I will go to asynchronous method and what it is, where it is useful, okay, and then how can one combine these two. So, I thought that I would focus my talk. So, I have 2 hours minus about 20 minutes on this topic. Is that okay? So, I will take up synchronous methods as I mentioned earlier. The live classroom you already know, and in fact, there are a few things that one can do for the live classroom also. I will come to that shortly, that you can all go back and use in your own approach. But I thought I would start with something experiment we did at IIT Bombay, live transmission of IIT Bombay's courses. Okay. That is, we have in IIT about I think 1200 courses in a year, 1200 courses in a year, okay, about 600 courses every semester. So, that is a very large number of courses, and then we thought, why don't we make some of them available to the public, transmit it, right. After all, how is TV done? Somebody goes to a TV studio and gives a talk and everything is delivered. Why can't we do the same thing for a classroom, right? So, we did this through the Center for Distance Engineering Education program, and I was the head of this program from 2006 to 2009, okay, for about close to 4 years. And it was formed to disseminate IIT Bombay's courses live and recorded to students and faculty of colleges and also to working professionals. And it has been transmitting IIT Bombay's courses for close to a decade. I have written close to a decade. It is actually more than that, maybe some 12-13 years. So, as I mentioned earlier, the lectures are delivered in studios. Okay. You do not deliver it in a classroom, but in a studio. Okay. And our students attend the classes there. We ask our students also to go there. Okay. And lectures are also simultaneously transmitted free of cost to anybody who was there at that time to listen to our talk. Nowadays, of course, this is very common, but we started doing this in 2006 for example, 2005, 2006 we started doing it when technology was in its infancy. Lectures were also recorded and made available for future use. Just like it is being recorded now, we also recorded for our own students so that if they missed it, they could go and listen to it. In fact, a method like this can easily be implemented in your colleges now because technology is more easily available. You can actually get a TA, you can get one of your lab attendants, you can train your technical staff members, and then they can record it, they can transmit it, they can do all that. It's very easy now. Okay. Transmission technologies are explained next. So, I am going to explain the transmission technologies that we used at that time in 2005 and so on. Until December 2007, we purchased bandwidth at very high prices. In those days, bandwidth was very expensive. Okay. We transmitted through the satellite for a fee. Only a few courses, mainly IT, were popular, and it was becoming expensive to maintain. So, in January 2008 onwards, we started transmitting through EduSat. You have heard of EduSat? Of course, EduSat is not there anymore. So, we did commercial satellite, then EduSat, then we went to internet through terrestrial, that is our Wi-Fi and things like that, that we normally use. Nowadays, we get bandwidth, but we do not have satellites. So, how do we get this? So, there are service providers who provide it through internet. Okay, that is also possible now. In fact, we migrated later towards that. Okay. So, do not worry about the technology, but look at the education aspects of it. Okay. I call it as free of cost live classroom. EduSat was launched by ISRO. At that time, we had 65 remote centers, 65 remote centers, 65 colleges had established these antennas, these satellite receiving stations. Okay. And it required a lot of work. They had to go and apply. Because it is satellite, one has to get permission from defense, because there could be some sensitive information. It does not undergo any control. People could just transmit, right. So, but then at that time internet was not available, so we had to use satellites, right. And at that time, that student interactive terminal, they paid 4,60,000 rupees to set it up. Okay. And because transmission was unencrypted, can be received through TV by people living in SAARC countries, once again it was free. It was available not only for India, but also to neighboring countries. Okay. The next thing is what I told you was webcast. Webcast is something we have even now. You can actually work with YouTube. If you go there, you can actually start practicing, you can start transmitting through YouTube. Free transmission at 100 kbps. Okay, 100 kbps was lot of bandwidth even in those days, even 100 kbps. Nowadays, it is nothing. Nowadays, it is nothing. I am talking about 2006, right. And interaction. So, live transmission, and then how do people ask questions? So, in this webcast means it is one way that I transmit, people just receive it. It is like TV, just receive it. What happens if they have a question? They log into Moodle and they ask questions. Okay. How many of you have heard of Moodle? Okay, how many of you have used Moodle? Some of you have used Moodle. Okay. So, we have I think one more session, probably Professor Sundar will talk about Moodle. He will give a demo of it because many of you do not know about it. So, basically it is a forum. It is possible to maintain forum. Of course, there are a lot of other discussion forums available. For example, Piazza is a very popular one for question and answer, but there are several other methods as well. But Moodle is a very popular one. We have been using it in IIT Bombay as an official learning management system since 2004. So, we have been using this learning management system for 13 years now. Okay. And there will be a talk on this by Professor Sundar subsequently, possibly immediately after my talk. How good are our courses? How good are our courses? I am transmitting a course. Is it a good course? I go to Quora and somebody has given an answer. I had a question I posted. Somebody has given an answer. Can I believe it? I had a question in my electromagnetics. I asked a question. Somebody answered. Can I believe it? Okay. So, here one of the things that we have is that we are transmitting our own courses. Anyway, I am going to teach my course for my students. For example, if this is transmitted, it's okay. I have no problem. provided I have come prepared, I don't mind that. Okay, I may even become a rock star if 1,000 people see it and they say, hey, this guy is giving a very good talk, and I become a star. So it is possible in this technology for you to deliver a good talk, useful talk, not only to your students, but to thousands of people around the world. Okay, only thing of course is you have to come really prepared well. You have to prepare good talk, right? And then people should say this is it's a great lecture, right? So it's our own course, same high quality as dictated by its Senate, fixed schedule. So my class means, for example, every Monday 8:30 I have a class, 8:30 to 9:30, and I am going to transmit. My students will demand that, my Senate will say that, my department head will scold me if I don't teach. So it will always be given in that semester. So then anybody else who wants to attend your talk can schedule, they can come there, right? So just like we have a schedule for our students, outside people also can mark it in their calendar and come. So some of these things are very important. Some of these could be organizational details, but it is important from learning point of view, especially if you want to reach out to many people. In fact, that is going to be one of the things that I don't know whether you know that they have MHRD, AICTE and UGC have allowed the use of MOOCs, for example, in the curriculum, that somebody can actually take something like 3 courses, 2 courses as in lieu of their regular course. They can do MOOCs, they can attend one of these courses. It could be an NPTEL course, for example, that they can receive it. So these things are becoming more and more popular, more and more commonplace. As a result, you might also have to do some of these things, and you may want to do it. You might say that, look, I am teaching a class, I am teaching a class for only 5 students. I am teaching a very advanced course, there are only 5 students in my class. Okay? But there are, I know that in 10 other colleges, there are together maybe 30 other students who are interested in joining. So I would might as well teach it for 35 students. Why only my 5 students? Okay, you may want to do that. So then you have to know what are the issues involved. Okay, that's what we are trying to cover. And we transmitted free. We transmitted these many courses in 2005 to 2009 time frame. For example, here in this semester, there were 35 faculty members, my colleagues, who transmitted their courses live. So in that semester, we transmitted something like 35 into 40 hours of lecture. So close to 1500 lectures were transmitted live, and they were recorded like this, they were edited, and they were put on the streaming server for people to access later. Okay, that was a lot of work. What is the impact? Excellent course content from reliable instructors. So this is the authenticity I already talked about. Now, how many of you know of Mr. F.C. Kohli? Have you heard of F.C. Kohli? Have you heard of TCS, Tata Consultancy Services? So Tata Consultancy Services was started by Mr. F.C. Kohli. He is the founder of TCS. In fact, many people call Mr. F.C. Kohli as the father of Indian information technology, Indian IT, right? Because he started TCS, and then our IT companies came, and in fact, those IT sector is giving employment to many of our graduates, right? Now, Mr. F.C. Kohli was the chairman of Board of Governors, College of Engineering, Pune. So he told me in 2007 or 8, he contacted me because I was heading the distance education program at IIT Bombay. We were transmitting. So he asked me whether we could transmit our courses so that College of Engineering, Pune students could take it live. Instead of their own courses, can they connect and receive our courses live, right? And so he said that if they join, they would get IIT's method. What did he mean by method? Okay, I can take the same thing from NPTEL. I can do the same thing from some recorded courses. But he said, no, I want live course. Why live course? Okay. What do you think? What is the difference between a live course and a recorded course? Can somebody tell? He is saying the live course is better. I don't want recorded courses for my students. Why did he say that? What do you think? Interaction, live course, okay. Anything else? Good answer, but there are more points. Schedule. So, how does the schedule help? Schedule is the correct answer, but there is something that something very nice about it. I'll come to that even if you haven't thought about it. Yes, there is a definite schedule. Anything else? Continuity in a video also you can get the continuity. No? What? So, do you not have that in video? Supposing I have NPTEL videos, I have 40 lectures. Do I have the continuity or not? I do have the continuity. So, that is not the answer. We can get the updated content. Okay. So, alright, video means it is fixed. So, whereas if it is a class, you ask a question, the person may change the content and deliver something else. Good, these are all correct answers, but I will tell you I have a few points written here. These are probably a lot simpler, but very important. Okay. He said when an IIT professor makes a mistake, I want my students to see. Okay. I want them to know that it is okay to make mistakes. Even IIT professors make mistakes. That happens only in a live class, because if you record it, you will cut that out, right. When an IIT professor cracks a joke, I want my students to see. I want them to know that it is okay. I mean, you don't have to be serious all the time. He wanted his teachers also to see this, and the pedagogy is getting transmitted, right. Then outside students get to see the extent of work done by IIT instructors. So, they will, for example, they will see if the class is to be delivered on Monday, it is delivered on Monday. It is to be delivered at 8:30 in the morning, it is delivered at 8:30 in the morning. Every Monday, in every class hour is delivered, every class hour is delivered on time. I want my students to see it. And then I want my students to go and ask my faculty members, IIT faculty is teaching on time. Why are you refusing to teach? Please come to class. Please come and teach. That they could tell their faculty. Similarly, their faculty could ask, look, IIT students are doing so much work. Why are you refusing to work? Tell the students, do this homework, do this assignment, do these problems. You understand? So, he said this is very important. The pedagogy gets transmitted if it is a live classroom. So, I wanted to get a live classroom. Okay. So, we transmitted some 13 courses. Okay. So, because we are talking about pedagogy, because you are all going to be, you are all faculty members starting your career, there are many things that are possible. Lot better technology is available now. You may be able to implement many of this. You can even team up with 2-3 faculty members across colleges and say that let me teach one course, you teach the other course, that my students listen to you and my your students can listen to me. I don't mind doubling the work, because I don't have to teach 2 courses. Instead of teaching 2 courses, I will spend the entire time in making a course very nicely. I will put twice the work, make good slides, solve good problems, I will transmit it, let us share the work. Only thing is you can use it next year also. That investment is not wasted. You can use it next year and so on. I am going to talk about that. So, we wanted to find out, we were spending money on that, because we had a studio team, we had actually I had 50 people. So, I was paying salaries for all of them. Then I was looking for funds, right, in order to transmit, because COEP was not paying me, it was transmitted free of cost to them. So, in any case you need to pay, and I said that I needed to justify this. So I went around looking for people who will be ready to fund me, who will pay some grant or something. So I said, then they asked, okay, how good is it? Is it useful? Are people benefiting? Of what use is it? So it turns out that this is a very difficult question to answer, because they all say it is nice, it is useful, okay, but did it really help? Is it helpful? so good that you have to spend so much money. Okay, supposing I have to spend 50 lakhs on this, is it worth spending 50 lakhs? How many people will benefit? So, if only 2 people will benefit, then cost per person is 25 lakh and it becomes too expensive, right. So, that is, these are the questions that one has to answer. So, impact analysis is extremely important. Courses were transmitted free of cost, registration is not compulsory. So, we did not know who were all listening. Now, it is not only us who had this problem. I went to Yale and what did they say? They said that to their websites there were 303,85,000 visitors, only 14,000 of them filled the survey. They had a survey form. Can you please fill this? I liked it, is useful, not useful, all that they filled, only 3% of the people, and the president of Yale used that as the evidence. Okay, nobody will accept it actually. If somebody gets a job, then you say okay, and that person says because of your lecture I got this job, then it is useful. But how many people are ready to say that? How many people are ready to say that because of your lecture I got a job? People don't say that, right? So, anyway, this is one of the problems, right, that we have to deal with. Okay. The other problem is if you insist, no, I want to know who are all watching, you must register. Then people say that, look, I don't want to give my register, I don't want to give my email address, I don't want to log in. It could turn off visitors. In fact, the statistics shows that registration generally results in about 90% of the people not joining. Okay. If it is going through COEP, all students will join. But if I am doing webcast that anybody can join, anybody from any college can join, and I put registration as a requirement, people may or may not join. There 90% of the people will go away. So, this is one of the problems. So, you actually do not have data. So, this is the. Now, what if IIT students complain? This is another problem we have to worry about. What if the students say, I came through JEE, okay, you are supposed to teach me, why are you sharing it with the public? Now, you might say, what is wrong in that? That is what I thought. But then what if some students complain? Supposing I do not do it properly, supposing I take a lot of time answering questions from outside, I do not teach our students, I do not cover the portion and so on, they will say that this fellow is useless, okay, spending, we are not getting our whatever we came for, right. But so we took the feedback from our own students. What do you think? Do you like it? Okay. So, this DEP stands for Distance Education Program, right. They said that it was better planned than regular course. This was the feedback. So, we took the feedback from them. We wanted to make sure that they had no complaints, right. We wanted to also tell people that we can share things, whatever we have, let us share with the others, with other people who do not have the luxury of coming and sitting in the classroom, but they are anxious, they are eager to listen. So, why don't we permit? So, this sharing thing comes up when we start doing it, but the students said it is not just that they said these courses were better planned than regular course. For example, I used to tell them every faculty member who delivered course like this should give a weekly schedule. This week I will teach this week I will teach this week I will teach this, and if possible within a week also, this hour I will teach this hour I will teach this hour I will teach this. We would want them to tell right in the beginning. They can modify, of course, it is not that it is cast in stone, they can modify, but we would want them, after all, if you are teaching a course, you would say that look, I have 13 weeks. If it is 13 weeks, then I will take 3 weeks to teach this topic, 4 weeks to teach this topic, 1 week to teach this topic. So, you will write like this, okay, and then in that 2 weeks I will cover the portion like this. So, we wanted people to plan their course. That will be useful to all of you also, to plan it ahead of time. This is how I am going to teach this course, okay. So, and it was required and I would publish it. I would publish it so everybody would know. So, if somebody says that I want to learn about Nyquist plot, then they will say that okay, it is likely to be covered in this week. So, they will come there, right. If I want to know what is meant by Euler method, then the course it is likely to come in the 3rd week. So, I will come and attend it. I am talking about external people who are joining your course. By publishing it, you actually tell them, this is what I am going to do, right. But that helped our own students. Our students knew, okay, this topic is very important because he is spending 2 weeks, right. It helped our own students. So, our students said that it is better planned than regular course. They have to give schedule for the entire semester. As the lecture is recorded on camera, instructors came to the class better prepared, because they were getting recorded, they were getting transmitted, right. So, if I make a mistake, everybody will come to know it, right. So, I will put that extra work. That is why I told you that share the load, do twice the work, they can benefit by your course and your students can benefit by their course, okay. So, on an average the work is the same. Instead of teaching 2 courses, you teach 1 course, but the benefit is the same material can be used by you again and by them also again. That is your own course, they can take and use it. Even a TA cannot teach that course, a junior faculty member can teach that course using the lectures, video lectures. So, many things are possible, right. But our students said lectures are better prepared, okay. Otherwise, you could see some people saying, today I think I will teach this class, today I think I will teach this topic. Sorry, you can't do that. Come prepared, okay, tell what you are going to do. So, the students said that they were better prepared. Of course, I admit that there are some faculty members, outstanding faculty members who can they come without any preparation, they are so good and they ask students, okay, what do we teach now, what should I teach, and they can start teaching that, and fantastic thing. But unfortunately, those teachers are very few, they found less than 1% of the population. Most of us are ordinary people, okay. For us, following some of these things will make us better teachers, okay. I mean, what do I mean by average teacher? Means we teach well, but we are not outstanding. Those people are very few, less than 1% of the people, okay. But we can use these technologies to make better things. For example, you make slides. If you make slides, you will make less mistakes because you have enough time to prepare, go through it, whereas while writing it, you may make mistakes. So, that way if you look at it, technology is something that can be used to overcome our shortcomings. If you look at it that way, then it is very useful, right. So, the students said that the teachers came better prepared and they were better lectures. And then we also gave the facilities. We, of course, it was an air conditioned room, students liked it. We recorded the lectures and put it on for students to see. They could see it from anywhere in the class, anywhere in the hostel. I remember in one of the courses, this was a basic introduction to electrical engineering, and a student from it was for chemical engineering batch. After the mid-semester exam was over, this faculty member asked this student, how come you got the highest mark? I have never seen you in your class, I have never seen you in my class. So, to that student replied, but I see you every day, because it was webcast and he was sitting in the hostel, sitting in his shorts and then listening to it, and then, so what I am saying is this, and then when he missed, it was available. So, this kind of thing people could watch it from anywhere at their own comfort and so on, and in case they missed it, they could go through the recording and listen to it again and so on. That is what I meant by video lecture on demand, LMS for discussion, and courses delivered through CD. So, other thing that we did was every faculty member who delivered through this was given a 5-minute recording. We asked them, why don't you come, we will record you and give it to you. You can go through this, you see, check your mannerisms, okay. Sometimes you could be making some mannerisms, or maybe you're not pronouncing some word correctly, okay. You don't realize it yourself, but once the recording came, then it became clear. One of the things that one mistake that we make often is that we tend to swallow the words towards the end of a sentence. Start saying, and finally towards the end of the sentence, some words get swallowed, okay. So, now if you listen to this, then it becomes clear, hey, this is how I am talking, okay. Now I have to pronounce each word of the entire sentence, Okay. So, we become better speakers, right, it helps. So, as they become better speakers, students like it. So, this is the student feedback, right. These are the video hit count. If you see in the bottom, how many people have seen these videos, you can see that November, lot of people saw it because that was the exam time. Similarly, April, you see a lot of time, we had more courses and so more hits. Similarly, so of course, we summarized it in our newsletter, and not only that, these students actually would come and ask me, why don't you please record him also, why don't you please ask him, he is a great faculty member, okay, he is going to retire, who is going to teach like him, can you please record him, okay, she is a great orator, why don't you please record. That is what the students used to come and ask me. So, it became easy for me. So, I would tell, can you please go and ask them, because if I ask, they will refuse. If you ask a colleague, they will refuse, but if a student asks, they will say yes, they will say yes. Why they will refuse when I ask? Because it is too much work. I told you twice the work, right, people will refuse to do the work, but if students say, look, it is a great thing, we all like it, right. Okay, what are the other incentives for faculty? Certification of copyright permission. Using copyright is a problem in this, because you cannot take, sometimes you might just Xerox some pages and give it to people in the class, which is okay. But if you are transmitting, then you can't do that. They will say that you are violating the copyright. The copyright rule says that for limited use, it is fine for you to make copies. You might say that I have a picture, I will just Xerox it, put it up, show it to people, that is fine in the classroom. I want to include it in my question paper that I am going to use for 50 people, that is fine. But you cannot say I will Xerox it and give it in the university exam, that will be used by 1000 people. So, that is violating the copyright rules, that is not a limited use, big use, big time use. So, we used to say that, oh, do you have a problem, we will try to help the copyright, we will, these are the extra things we tell the people, like how to speak, how to use Moodle, okay, and even how to come dressed so that it comes properly. For example, I am wearing solid shirt, solid color. If you have checks, then what happens is it will pixel it, especially if it is low bandwidth, you will see this person coming like this, things like that. So, you do not want that to happen. So, certification of copyright permission, quality of slides, we used to tell them how to write good slides, what are the guidelines, review of instructor and also by experts, additional instructional material, use of open source software. These are all given because in Moodle you will see that you can actually attach files. You can say that this is the paper I saw, I gave it. It becomes a easy environment where everything related to that lecture is available in one place. That is what I mean by additional instructional material. Use of open source software, I will shortly spend some time on open source software. That is nice because you do not have to pay for it, you can do the same thing, because people outside, for example, cannot afford MATLAB. So, people could say that, well, I found out that I can do the same thing with Scilab, so why do not I use Scilab, right. Okay, so these are all large classes can be handled, repetition of classes may be necessary, so you can use the same video recording, reruns by research scholars, reruns before the exams, students themselves can watch it. In fact, we mentored two IITs, IIT Gandhinagar. I noticed that some people are from IIT Gandhinagar. IIT Gandhinagar and IIT Indore were mentored by us, so we could make these available there, and then better courses, this is what I already mentioned. Then there are other lessons, there may be no takers for good quality courses even if it is offered free. There is no escape from marketing activities, okay. It is difficult task to get a large number of IIT's faculty members to offer their courses for live transmission or video recording, because it is twice the work, twice the work. So, you have to resort to all these marketing agencies, marketing activities. If you make the course, such courses come out very well, then it is good marketing, because the students will go and tell the faculty members, okay. Okay, and then technology plus people support is unreliable, user feedback is important to improve quality of transmission. Okay, so there I finished the first part of what I wanted to speak. Are there questions in what we covered? It is straightforward, it is not very difficult, it is just logical, it is more of information, but I thought that I should also talk about some of the pedagogy, because some of you may be interested in doing something like this. And what does TechViv stand for? What does it stand for? Technical education. Okay. I was wondering whether any technology is involved. It's only technical, but nevertheless, I think you may still be tempted to do some of these things. How many of you are interested in doing any of these? Yeah, at least some of you, maybe all of you. It's easy to do. We have better technologies, right? And we have good videos also that explain how to do all these things. So you can actually implement these, and it'll be a nice thing if you can do that. Okay, another synchronous training program. I'll start. I will talk about asynchronous training program also shortly. 10,000 teacher training program. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Minimum kind of technology. Okay. So, do you have bandwidth? Do you have computers? Your students have computers. Their own computers they don't have, but you have computer labs. You have computer labs. Okay, what percentage of your students have computers, laptops? 20%, only 20% will have laptops. Okay, are your students in hostels? Are all your students in hostels or day scholars? Mostly day scholars. Okay, how many of them have mobile phones? All of them. Okay, what is the minimum cost of these mobile phones, you think? Minimum 5,000, 7,000. If they can get a laptop for 10,000, will they be interested? Maybe. Because do you think that they should have laptop for their course? I mean, for computer programming is a compulsory course, right? First semester, right? So if they don't have a laptop, how do? They go home, right? How many are in hostels? What percentage? What percentage of your students are in hostels? Do you have a hostel? 20%. Okay. So 20% of the students only stay in hostels. Maybe they can be given computers. For the remaining 80%, computers are not available. So what do you do? Right? So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, later on I will show it to you. This is a laptop we have come up with for 10,000 rupees. Okay. So that's why I asked, maybe I'll allow you to see it after some time. Right, I can pass it around. But then you will not listen to me. Right. So we'll have maybe some time at the end. I can even give a demo of this. Right. So I'm happy that you asked this question. So, okay, I'm going to skip all this then. I will go to the other topic that I was going to cover, the asynchronous method. So let me come to the asynchronous method. If you have time, we can always come back here. Okay, this is something that I can, they won't have computers. Okay, Clicker is something that I can cover that will be useful in your class. Okay, let me explain clickers, then we will go to asynchronous method. That also I am sure you can, even with fewer resources, you can make available. So we have a field called educational technology that actually talks about how effective is teaching, how effective is my teaching. Okay, there are people who do PhD in that area. In fact, they are the people who come and say that this method is good, this method is not good, useless, and so on and so forth. It may appear great on paper, but people don't benefit. People are not learning. So what's the point in teaching that way? go back to blackboard, right? They could say that. So, this is the most proven method that came out of educational technology research. So, what is it? I assume that all of you have taught at least one course. You would have taught one course. Okay. So, if you have not taught, then you have maybe what I am going to tell could help. There are times when I found that, at the time of mid semester exam, after the mid semester exam was over, I would find that some basic facts, obvious things, the students had not understood, right. So, I teach something, then I assume that people are following, okay. I go on building on top of it, okay. Of course, when I teach, I ask, do you understand? They all say yes, they nod their head, okay. They all nod their head, yes, okay, as if they have understood. And then after the exam, find that they haven't understood. By then 1.5 months are already over. So, what do you do at that time? Would you build on top of it, or would you go back and teach the whole thing again? So, either way there is a problem. So, it turns out that clickers is something very nice that people can use. This is the most proven method that came out of educational technology research. Okay, what is a clicker? Has anybody heard of this word, clicker? Okay. How many of you have watched Amitabh Bachchan's Kaun Banega Crorepati? Okay, many of you, right? Have you watched it in the past? Let's say in the first episode, when it was first introduced, there used to be 3-4 people and they were given clicker, right? That was known as a clicker. They have to answer A, B, C, D. Whoever clicks first would get that, and they were supposed to indicate their choice A, B, C, D using that remote like thing. In fact, that is known as a clicker because they click using that. Okay. Now, so that method is called clicker. That what do we do? Identify immediately those who do not understand concepts and take corrective action. By the way, now you can do this through mobile phones. Mobile phones can be used as clicker. There are applications, you can use that. The other, there are, do you permit students to bring mobile phones to class? Okay, so you can use mobile phone. If you don't use, there is a thing called Plickr. Plickers. This is paper based clicker. If you just do a Google search, you can actually find out. It tells you how to create. Basically, people will have cardboard and students, and they will choose. If it is this side, it is A. If you rotate it, it becomes B. If you rotate it one more, C. They can actually, it is possible to collect all that information and display it. So, without mobile phone also you can do, but mobile phones are permitted. So, I am sure you can do this. Okay. So, let me explain a few things that I am doing. So, that is useful to you, that you can implement immediately. And you can implement without any technology if you use Plickers, for example. Of course, there also you need a mobile phone, you need internet connection. Okay. You need your own mobile phone. Okay. No name comes from the instrument used in Kaun Banega Crorepati. So, this is the clicker method I follow. Okay. When I go to the class, I would say that in today's class, there are 4 portions or 3 topics I would cover. Okay. These are the 1, 2, 3. I will show the slide, I will say 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 topics I would cover today. Then I will say first topic. Okay. Teach, maybe 10 minutes. Then I will ask a question like this. Ask a question, right? Poll the answers. So, people will answer A, B, C, D, right? If everybody gets it correct, most of them get it correctly, then I say, okay, people have understood. Then I can say I will go to the next topic. Or if I have some extra time, I can tell a few more things about whatever I have covered. Now, but it turned out that very often, not all of them got it right. Okay. In fact, a equal number in A, B, C, D, and you know only one is to be correct. So what would I do? Okay, if all of them correctly, then I spend some time, go to the next topic. If not, which was often the case, I will tell them, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbor, talk to your neighbor. Okay, let's say your answers are not correct, talk to your neighbor. So it turns out that the students generally know who has understood, okay, because they know. The teacher doesn't know, who knows, who has guessed, who knows it from the first principles. So they know immediately, they go and talk to them, okay. And then after a while, in fact, you can actually find out after a while means what. The moment I say talk to your friends, then the noise goes up, we are all talking, okay. And then the noise comes down and then it becomes silent. Then you poll again, same question, you say answer again, okay. When it quietens down, take their answers to the same question. If many answer correctly now, which was often the case I found out, most people would get it right, because they would talk to their friends, they would tell them quickly why this is the correct answer, why this is not the correct answer, right. Then also I can go forward. If not, if even after that people haven't understood, that means it requires some more explanation. You better spend some time, explain it, tell them why this is not the correct answer, why this is the correct answer, right. So an important concept that you taught in the 10-15 minutes gets disposed of once and for all. You don't have surprises, you don't have shocks after 1.5 months that they haven't understood, okay. So dividing the class like this, I am going to teach 2 topics, I am going to teach 3 topics, requires lot more work, but it is worth doing it, because nowadays people say that have shorter videos. For example, you might have heard of MOOCs, these are all short videos, they all have short videos. So how do I convert a 1 hour lecture into 10 minutes? It becomes very difficult. But if you start planning it like this, that I am going to teach 2 topics, I am going to teach 3 topics, right, and each of them I am going to build in this way to find out whether they have understood. I go back and teach again. Okay, you need extra time allowed for all this, provide all that, then you can teach like this, okay. Is it useful? This is something, this is one of the most proven methods that came out of ET research, education technology research, and it is easy to implement, and I would encourage all of you to go and try it out, This is known as Clicker's method, it is very easy to implement, it is common sense, there is not much difficulty.
I just want to take 2 minutes to introduce Professor Kannan Moudgalya. Professor Kannan Moudgalya is my colleague from Chemical Engineering Department. His area of research is process control, process systems engineering broadly speaking. But I would like to introduce him differently in context of this workshop. Professor Kannan has made immense contribution to mass digital literacy program of this country. He has his concept of spoken tutorials is actually a game changer. It has with his spoken tutorials on variety of topics, starting from things like Linux or open source software and many more things. He has been able to educate lakhs of students all throughout the country. I suppose from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and northeast to western side. He has been this is a pioneering work. Also, he has been a very active researcher in education technology. He has been guiding students in education technology, and the education technology part, which is CDEEP, okay, the distance education program. He is also one of the earlier heads of CDEEP, and he pioneered those activities. The state of CDEEP today, you can attribute to his contributions, say about 8 or 9 years back. So with this introduction, I would like to hand over to Professor Kannan.
Okay, CDEEP you have already heard. Okay, I spent a lot of time. Had somebody raised this objection, I would have shortened that. Okay, so thanks. So let me talk about flipped method. So this is actually a very short time to teach all this. Trying to teach a lot of things in a 2-hour time slot. In fact, we recently conducted a month-long training, induction training program for college teachers. In fact, I handled that, and then here it is being compressed into 20 days thing. It is compressed into 5 days. So it is much shorter time, but some of these can also be done as a maybe a TechWhip course to be organized. It can be organized in your colleges later. If you think that such a facility is there, you could organize, right? So let me explain to you the concept of flipped classroom, and then we also wrote a paper on that. I'll show that to you, and then I'll teach the asynchronous method. Okay, I was going to skip this. I wasn't sure whether you would do that because okay, what is a flipped classroom? I'll just explain to you and then tell me whether I should spend time on it or not. So then we can figure out whether to do that. Flipped method is something. It's something I'm sure you're all aware of. Basically, in a regular classroom, you teach and the students come and learn the basic subject in the classroom. Okay, and then there are problems to solve, and they have to know more about it. They have to think about it, discussions and so on. That happens outside the classroom. Okay, this thing is flipped in a flipped classroom. It is interchanged. What happens is, in a flipped classroom, the teacher gives the subject for students to study on their own. Okay, for example, if you have already delivered a lecture and it is recorded. So let's say that you delivered it 1 year, you recorded the whole thing. Next year you could say, see the lecture, see the video, and then come to the class. See the video. That means they have already gone through whatever they are supposed to learn. They come to the class, and in the class what happens is discussion. You give problems to solve, you have discussions, people ask questions or you ask questions, you can conduct a quiz. So now the learning, basic learning happens outside. The discussion, clearing doubts, solving problems, which normally happen outside, now happen in the classroom. Okay, but for this to happen, you should be able to give the reading portion. That reading portion can be a video lecture in NPTEL, for example. Do all your students have access to NPTEL at their home? Do they have internet at home? No idea. What do you think? What percentage of your students will have access to internet, you think, at home? Almost everybody. Almost everybody. Okay. If that is the case, then you can actually try it. You can try it out by choosing a particular chapter initially. Don't do this for the whole course. You can say that I am going to teach this. This is suitable for self-study, maybe descriptive, so they can learn on their own. Or maybe there are some very nice videos given by some faculty members. It could be from anybody in India, IITs, NITs, it could be from anywhere in India or anywhere overseas, but it is available for people to download and see. Okay. So, if that is the case, then I have a paper that I am going to share. So, this is something you can do. The only problem is that you could see later that students could complain. Students could complain saying that other students spend only 1 hour per week, per class. Here you are asking me to spend 2 hours, because 1 hour to see the video and 1 hour to come to the class. So, it is double the work. So, people could complain. So, there are ways to handle it, because if you don't do it, I have tried it. I mean, I have done flipped classroom method for 7-8 years now. Okay, it worked for my MTech students, but when I went to BTech students, it was a problem. BTech students complained, why should I do double the work for the same thing? Same number of credits, you are asking me to do double the work. So I created, I modified the program. Let me show you the paper that we wrote. So this is something that we wrote it appeared in an international conference on learning and teaching in computing and engineering. Okay, I'll share this paper with you. So it says, basically what it says is that don't make them do twice the work, because if you make them do twice the work, they will not see the video and come, and you are not teaching anything in the class. So there is a problem. So main thing is you have to tell them, look, you are not doing more work. I am not asking you to do more work. You fix the portion ahead of time. You say this is the only portion I will cover. That's it. Whether I teach live or flip, it's the same same amount. Okay, number one. Number two, you say I used to meet them only once a week. They will see the video, they will come to the class only once. So instead of 3 hours, it becomes 4 hours. Okay, and then 4 hours, but then they save time in not coming to the class. Otherwise, they have to spend a lot of time coming to the class, going back, and then people are disturbing and so on. So here all this is not there. They can see the video and come to the class. In that 1 hour, I would conduct a quiz. And then that will make the students go through the material and come to the class. Okay, that means they were actually on their toes. And then we actually compared whether there is any correlation between what they do on a weekly class. I used to meet them only once a week. Weekly quiz and what they got in the mid-semester exam, what they got in the end-semester exam, and their grade. Is there a correlation? We found that there was a good correlation. People who came to the class regularly, who got high marks in weekly quiz, actually ended up getting good marks in mid-semester exam and end-semester exam. That's how I justified to my administration, saying that look, people who they are regularly following, they are regularly coming to the class, they are getting high marks, and they finally got high grades. So that's an indication they were all studying. And I also I taught a class called process control, and one of the difficult topics in that is Nyquist plot. And I found that in that particular year, many students got that exam answer correct in the final exam. That question correct in the final exam. Many people. Normally, it used to be much smaller. So that means they were actually following, they were actually asking questions, and things like that. They were preparing and so on. So that is what this is. And this efficacy of the flip method in an undergraduate class at IIT Bombay, this paper I will share with you. Okay, and then you can read it yourself, because it's not possible to cover all of it, but I will share this with you. You can go through this. Okay. What I want is, I am going to take a 5-minute break because I am actually unwell. So in the meantime, I am going to pass this laptop. You can actually see this. I will just get a tea and come back. So I am going to leave this for you to look at. Who is interested in looking at this computer? It's a 10,000 rupee computer. Okay. You can just see it. Oh, okay. See this for 5 minutes. I will just come back. So this is a method that we developed, taking our constraints into mind. Okay, that's one of the reasons why it is very popular. Professor Sachin Patwardhan actually mentioned. We started this method for IT training, mainly for employment. We wanted to, in fact, we started this project in 2009. Okay. So I said employment through IT, 50% of Indians are below 25 years, 2/3 are below 35 years. There are problems, education quality, finding good teachers, providing jobs. India is like a continent. If you look at it as an opportunity, it's a great thing, right? If you use our students as a resource, then it's a fantastic thing, right? We are a young country. IT training can improve employment potential. So we said, because of this, we want to give IT training to our students, right? This is how we started in 2009. Then we said, our solution should be suitable for our condition. I don't want to give a condition for Western countries, it is for our students. You will see as I go along how we do that. Most students in India do not have access to good teachers, because there are very few good teachers. Students are bright, but teachers are very few. So, how do we handle it? So, we solution, see if we can train them through self-learning. Is it possible to create material for self-learning? Can I guarantee that they can learn by themselves? So, I said, so these are all problem and statement. This is a problem, this is a solution, right. Similarly, this is the problem statement. Then I say, okay, how can I make the content suitable for self-learning in my limited focus? What is the limited focus? IT training, right. It is C programming, it may be Java programming, Perl, Ruby, Python, whatever it is, right. Maybe Scilab, maybe OpenFOAM, maybe circuit simulation, whatever it is. So, I said that we introduced this concept of script writing for every tutorial. Okay. Let me give examples of this. So, this is our web page, spoken tutorial. If you just do spoken tutorial, you will get this. So, let me take C and C++. I can make it bigger also. Okay. Let me choose. Audio is there? Can you give connection?
Welcome to the spoken tutorial on tokens in C and C++. In this tutorial, we will learn how to define and use tokens. We will do this with the help of an example. We will also see some common errors and their solutions. To record this tutorial,
Okay. You can see this here. You can see that. So, we used to write the script first. So, we would write the script first and then she speaks the script. But before that, what we used to do was, we would ask a beginner to go through the script before the video is made, and we will ask the beginner to certify whether they can understand each line before it is recorded. Okay. And they will come and say, hey, this step is missing, I don't know how to go from this step to this step. Whereas the person who writes the script is an expert. That person will say, oh, what a stupid question, don't you know this? Don't you know how to do this? So, we tell that expert, sorry, it is for that person, it is for a beginner. We are not creating this for experts. So, you must write everything. You must write everything. So, this is known as novice check. Novice means a beginner, beginner check. So, if it fails a novice check, it goes back to the expert and say improve. It will go back and forth many times, because our people are stubborn. They will say, no, they should know. We will say, sorry, we will not pass it, we will not accept it. So, we tell them it is for a beginner. Beginner has so many questions, because we are trying to make it suitable for self-learning. Finally, if it passes, right, then the beginner can understand. Okay. So, then we accept it, then we record it. Okay. That is a novice check. Okay. Do a novice check of the script before recording, and then we said learning pedagogy should be effective. Okay. Because remember, the students are going to learn by themselves in many colleges. I said this is not just for IITs, this is not for just NITs, this is for, in fact, these people do not need, because they already have good teachers and so on. What about other people who do not have access to this, right? In remote colleges, remote locations, students are there, they have no faculty members. So, how will they learn? So, we said they should be able to answer. The learning pedagogy should be effective. We came up with a method called side-by-side learning. Okay. What is the side-by-side learning? I will show you. Here you can see video on half the screen and the software on another screen. I will just explain it using software called LibreOffice. Anybody has heard of LibreOffice? Okay. So, let me explain it with LibreOffice, and let me also explain it using So, for example, this is the software, LibreOffice, I can type, right. Now, I open the video also corresponding to that. So, where is it available? So, I come here and I open a new tab and I say that LibreOffice Writer, Writer is like MS Word, right. Introduction to LibreOffice Writer, typing text and basic formatting. So, I have the video. Okay. So, what I do is I change the size of this, bring it to half the screen. Okay. So, whatever I see in this video, I practice here. I have the video on half the screen, I have the software on other half the screen. Don't allow them to maximize, because maximize means they will see only one thing at a time. Here what we see is see, practice, see, practice, see, practice. Listen to a command, try it out. If it works, go to the next command. If not, rewind, listen to it and try it out again. Why I am saying that you should keep it side by side is psychologists have found out that this reduces mental load, cognition overload they call it, that you see it side by side, listen to one command. So, the fact that we have already done a novice check, that we have made it suitable for self learning, actually makes it useful for them, right. Okay. So, this is the side by side learning method. For this to happen, remember, this has to be made available to every student across the country. I do not want it to give it to only a few students, right. Then what should be available to them in order to do this practice? What should be available? They should have the video available, so that I make it available. What about the software? If they have to pay, will they learn? It should be available. So, software also should be available. So, we choose open source software, because open source software means available to everybody free of cost, so they can learn, right. Lack of computers is another problem. We organized workshops through colleges. How do we organize the workshops? We came up with this idea of self workshop, spoken tutorial based education and learning through free fast study workshops. The video that I showed you are called spoken tutorials, okay, because you do not see the person's face. So, that is why we called it spoken, you only hear the voice. There is another reason why it is called spoken tutorial, I will explain shortly. So, we said 2 hour workshops. Our tutorials are 10-minute duration. You can conduct 2 hour workshop. In 2 hours, they will learn 2 or 3 tutorials. More importantly, they will learn how to learn from the tutorials, right. So, you can say, okay, download, you take it with you, it is freely available, practice whenever you have time, because it is already created for self learning. During the 2 hour workshop, I will teach you how to learn, right. And then using that, you can learn yourself if you are interested. If somebody is not interested, you cannot do anything about. But if there is an interested person, then you can say, you can learn yourself. I will give you the whole thing, right. That is what we can do. So, once again, we do conduct workshops. If you have any equipped course, separate course in your colleges, we will be happy to come and conduct some of these things. So, it will become very clear. But this is the method. This is the method that it is possible to practice side by side, one command at a time, complete the whole tutorial, then go to the next tutorial, then go to the next tutorial. How many of you know LaTeX? Anybody? Many of you. Good, very good, excellent. In fact, we have trained 1.5 lakh college teachers across the country using LaTeX spoken tutorials. Can you believe it? Because it is a very nice thing, but it is somewhat difficult, right? Unless you are in the right environment, you will find it difficult to pick up. But we have trained 1.5 lakh people on LaTeX. So, I always tell, so if you make an ordinary tutorial, 10 people will watch it. If you make it 10 times better, 10,000 people will watch it, because it is so good. So, the novice check actually does that, right. 2 hour workshops can be organized by a volunteer, expert is not required. One volunteer can run different workshops, Whether it is C programming or Java programming or Scilab, it is the same, right? Method is the same. Open the software here, open the video here, one command at a time. Okay. If you don't understand, rewind, listen to it, right? Method is the same. Individual computers are not required, no financial implication, it's available free of cost, you can all do it. Then we found that it was difficult to find slots outside college hours. The 2-hour slot, where do you find it? College slots are filled, packed, they don't have time. So then we did a mapping, included in the timetable. We have now 33,000 college lab courses have put spoken tutorials in their timetable. Okay. Lack of English fluency is another problem. Bihar, I think you will have that problem, right? So what we did was, we dubbed the spoken part into all 22 languages. Let me show you this. So we can choose any one of these. Okay, I was choosing tokens, right? So let me choose. We open another window. In that C and C++. Let me choose. Okay. So we dub into all 22 languages. It's available in every language, every one of our Schedule 8 languages. That means it's available to even to students who may not be fluent in English, but the same quality content. And not only that, the video is in English. So they use normal computers, normal keyboard, because if you say that switch over to Devanagari keyboard, they don't want to learn, because they won't get IT jobs, right. So we say that it is a normal computer, normal keyboard. Right. Okay. So it explains, it's already now the same high quality video which is taken by novice check, 10 times it is sent through. Now it is available in all 22 languages. Same script, only translated. Only thing is, we don't say don't give it in Shuddh translation, because Shuddh translation means target audience will find it difficult. Keep it simple, use a mix of languages. The objective is not to promote languages, but to promote employment for people who are weak in English. Because if you say promote language, then they will say, why are you mixing Hindi, why are you bringing in English? Do all of them in Hindi. Just imagine translating keyboard, mouse, they want to know all the common words, they want to know all the technical words, right. If I give it in pure Tamil, what will happen? They cannot go to industry and work, right. So this is not for promoting language. So I say right at the beginning, we are not promoting language. That politicians are doing, state governments are doing, let them do it, right. Then the other thing very important is, bandwidth is a problem. If 100 people start seeing simultaneously, there is a major problem. I will come to that. That is what I think I am going to talk about next. Okay, anyway, employment in IT industry needs English, so dub only the audio, that is fine, and dubbing, voice dubbing only requires 5% effort. This is another reason why I called it spoken tutorial. The spoken word is very important in our project. Okay. I showed dubbing in one language, let me show in another language. What language do I show? Okay. So I will show in a esoteric language, because if I can do it in this language, you can do it in any language. Okay. So, if I can do it in Sanskrit, he can do it in any language, right. So, all 22 languages, every language, every one of our languages. Lack of internet is another problem. So, what we do is, we created an offline shopping cart like download application. I will show you that. In our web page, on the top, there is a software training. If you see here, there is something called create your own disk image. So, you can pick and choose. You can say that I want C and C++, I want basic level, I want English and Hindi. So, it will come and say that, okay, the file size will be this. Then I say that, suppose I say Drupal, basic level, I want only English. So, once you do that, you say create a zip file, that will create a zip file and give it to you, right. Now, using that zip file, you have the whole thing with you. You have to download it once, of course, but once you have it, you can copy that, you can unzip it, copy that folder into. So, what happens, how does it look? I will show you. So, I created this for, we were conducting some training for some volunteers in Gujarat. So, if you unzip it, you will get these 4 files. Can you see this? There is a file called index.html. Normally, you will double click it and it will open, because it is Mac. Let me open it like this. It opens on all machines. Now, only things that I download will be there. So, here I downloaded only 2 things. LibreOffice Calc is like Excel, and I have only Gujarati, because I downloaded it for Gujarati volunteers. And did anybody notice the URL? Where is it coming from? What is the first word? File, right? Can you all see it? Can you all see it? It says file, right? It is coming from a file. I will show it to you. Let me open this using charts and graphs. Now, I am going to advance it. Just see how it, whether there is buffering. I can go backwards also, right? Not possible in our normal editing. If you see a video from internet, wheel will start rotating. It does not happen at all, and it does not use internet, because it is coming from file, right. So, this is very important, and reach increased 50 times. I am going to skip all this. I could conduct a workshop like this for 250 people simultaneously, LaTeX workshop, right. I could even conduct it, we even wrote a paper. I could even conduct it in Mandalay, Myanmar, Burma, where they have no internet, no electricity. Of course, when they took the picture, there was electricity, but it used to fail and no internet at all. Here the laptops were charged, software was loaded, these video files were copied, they could just use it. Okay. So, we have lot of information, but I am going to skip all this. I see that some of you are from Bihar and Rajasthan. We have trained a large number of people in both the states. So, let me just show you that. See this statistics on our web page. So, if you click this training, you can actually get all of information. You can say Bihar, I want to find out, filter. So, we have trained 1,16,000 students, many of them we trained last year in 2017. Who they are, what city they come from, what college, what topic they learnt, and who is the organizer, who are the participants. We have entire information. You can do this for every state. You can do this for Bihar, you can do this for Udaipur, you can do that. Rajasthan, if you see, We have trained many more people, almost 2 lakh people in Rajasthan, across the colleges, in various topics. Now, of course, the most popular topic, can you tell me, guess the most popular topic? See, correct. Why? First year course, not only that, also for jobs. We have trained 5,28,000 students on C programming. Remember I said if you create it 10 times better, 10,000 people will watch it. That the person who created, she was only 24 when she created, Ashwini Patil. It has been listened to by 5 lakh people. When you write a scientific paper, maybe 10 people watch it, read it, 5 people read it, 10 people read it. Here it is read by so many. Okay. So this is an asynchronous method. Why is it an asynchronous method? Everybody has a headphone, they are listening to it, practicing it. Some people are rewinding it 2-3 times. Some other people say, I know it, I will jump fast, I will go at 1.5 times the speed. Some people are listening to it in English, some in Hindi, some in Malayalam, some in Gujarati, some in Tamil and so on, various languages. Each one is watching at different time, different points. So this is known as asynchronous. Okay. In fact, MOOCs is an asynchronous, right. You might have taken MOOCs asynchronous because each one studies and so on. And of course, if you put an interaction that I will come at this time, you can ask me questions live, then it becomes synchronous. So you have synchronous and asynchronous, if you combine, then it becomes a very good thing. That is known as, we call it blended MOOCs. So these are the things that I wanted to talk about pedagogy. I think whatever I have said, you will find it. I am happy that had you told me a little earlier, I would have spent a little more time on this. But there is another thing that I want to talk about. So this is with pedagogy, but there is some really, so this is very nice. If you see here, because I have 10 minutes, because if you see here, if you just do a search, oops, sorry. Okay. So we have a total of about 8,000 tutorials, 8,500 tutorials. English alone we have 900 tutorials on about 50-60 different topics. You may find all of them to be useful. You can use them. We also offer, there is one other thing I wanted to show you. If you see here on software training, if you click that, there is something called contacts for training. So if you want to set it up in your college, we have names of our my managers who are available for doing this, who will help you organize in different states. For example, if you say Bihar, it's here, her name is Sharda Sharma, her email address, phone number, she will be happy to come to your college, she will set it up, or she will get an expert to organize these workshops. Similarly, if you see Rajasthan, Nidhi Soni is actually here, she can even come and talk to you if you want. She will be happy to set it up in your college for your people. Okay, if I can get half an hour slot, I will talk to Sachin. Will it be of interest to you? Okay. So the students can at least learn all these things quickly on their own. Okay. How many of you use MATLAB? Many of you have heard of MATLAB, right? So I am going to spend 5 minutes to talk about an alternative called Scilab. Have you heard of Scilab? Yeah. So I am going to tell you about something that is available only in Scilab, not in MATLAB. Because of this, you should switch to Scilab. I am going to show you that. Let me go to cloud.scilab.in. This is something we created, cloud.scilab.in. Okay, get started. Because I don't have time, I will just go do a demo, then you will understand, right. Now what I will do is, I will click this. Let me choose, I can choose any topic, let me choose control theory and control systems. I am familiar with this topic. So these are different subjects, right. I have chosen this. In that there are lots of books. So let me choose the first one, automatic control systems by BC Coe. So I have selected that. The moment I select that, it says this book has all these chapters. So let me choose frequency domain analysis. Then immediately it says there are many examples available, examples. So let me choose Bode plot 9.15. Okay, the moment I select that, a code appears, Scilab code appears. So, in other words, this is the code for example 9.15 of frequency domain analysis chapter in BCCO of control systems. Okay. In fact, it is Scilab code is given for all examples of this book, all solved examples of this book, Scilab code is available. Now, if I execute this, what happens is, it goes to the Scilab cloud which is hosted in Bangalore, it runs and then shows it. Now, for those of you who are interested, let me make it bigger slightly. You see gain margin and phase margin, right? You are familiar with it, some of you electrical engineers, you know this. Now, what will happen if I increase the gain? I will make this gain 5000, not 2500, but I will make it 5000. I double the gain, you know that the margins should come down, right. So, this 14 and 31 should become smaller. So, let me execute. Okay. Now, it has become 8 and 17, previously 14 and 31. So, margins have come down. So, you can actually do what if studies, right. We have solved it, we have this for 575 such textbooks, 575 such books. That means almost all you engineers, you will find it useful, whatever book you are teaching from, right. Now, we also have an offline version for people who do not have internet. So, let me show you that. So, that is in our web page scilab.in, offline version, right. So, there is something called textbook companion project on the left hand side, right. I click that, then there is something called completed books. Okay. So, how many books are completed? 575. Okay. So, all books are listed here. You want to name some books? What book are you teaching? What book are you teaching? Sorry? Simon? Okay, let us look for Simon. Okay, what is the other name? Simon? This is the one? It's there. Okay, any other book? What book are you teaching? Sorry? KROSS? Okay, this book is not there, which means that we are ready to create textbook companion for this book. If it is not there, we will create. Any other book? Yeah. Miriam, what book is this? MERI. We do not have it. Oh, there it is. Is it there? Is there? Good. So, we have 575 books, 65,000 examples together coded. Okay, I will give one more use using this, one more use using this. People like me often forget the commands, and if I remember the command, I forget the syntax, right. Like you, I also do Google search, right. I am sure you all do Google search, right, to find out how to use. Nobody remembers. So, I wanted to do partial fraction expansion using Scilab. So, I said Scilab partial fraction expansion, there it is. So, it says the command is PFSS, that is the first thing, I need to know the command. Then syntax, then I found that very often Google search does not help get the syntax, because it gives some square bracket, command, lots of things, okay. But then I have 65,000 examples, why do not I search within that, okay. So, this is the command PFSS. So, let me do that here. Once again scilab.in, there is something called search under the TBC code search. What does TBC stand for? Textbook companion. This is a textbook companion. For every solved example, there is a code. To understand the code, you have to open the book, right, open the book. So, here TBC code search, what should I search by? What is the command? PFSS. It says 140 results found. Okay. These are all from different books, wherever PFSS came, right. I just go there and then I say, when I come to 27, I say, hey, this is the book I used when I was a student. So, let me see this example, view this example. So, it takes me to the cloud, takes me to the cloud with that example coded. Okay, I run it. It starts from denominator, it does not show numerator. Why? Can you just check the code and tell me why? Why NUM is not displayed? Those of you who are familiar with MATLAB should know. Should I make it bigger? Where is it? What is there at the end of NUM? Semicolon. So, let me remove it. Okay, run it again. Now, numerator has come, denominator has come, right. Now, if I want, I can change this, change the values, like for example, we change the gain, change it, modify it, I can do all that, and I know how to call. Here is the PFSS call. And I go to a book that I am familiar with, there is an example that I am familiar with that is coded and that does partial fraction expansion. It is very easy. Now, I do not need to worry about Google search not giving the right value, right. This is extremely useful. The other thing that, so this is cloud.scilab.in, see if I can, I will see if I can give you some, okay, it is actually available on our website also. Anyway, this is Scilab cloud. The other one is, we have something called, in our Scilab, there is something called lab migration project. Lab migration project. What do we do in that? We help you migrate your labs to Scilab from MATLAB. Here are the completed labs. You can see on the right hand side, what are the different topics that people have done. So, if you choose any one of these, let us say Dharam Singh Desai University Digital Signal Processing, you can download the code, you can download the Scilab code as folder. If you want it as a PDF, you can download the PDF. Okay, there it is. And if I open it, okay, and here are the problem statements. And if I open it, applications of correlation, here is the code. Okay, that somebody from that college has created. Is it useful? Yeah. So, that means you can actually switch over to Scilab, and there are many things that are, almost every topic is covered. So, we will be happy to help. How to do that? Everything is explained here. If you say lab migration project, procedure, coding guidelines, Hondrorium, we give Hondrorium. The textbook companions were created by students across the country. For every book, we paid 10,000 rupees and we put their names. We gave a certificate also to every one of them, even faculty members participated across the country. Now, one other thing I will say and then I will close. If you go to fossee.in, free and open source software for education. In this, you actually get all this. You can go to Scilab, you go to Python, you go to eSIM. eSIM is for electronic circuit design and simulation. Circuit design is of interest to some people. Okay. So, in that we have something called circuit simulation project. By the way, eSIM is open source software we developed at IIT Bombay, available for free download. If you say circuit simulation project, one of the things we have is completed simulations. These are all the things created by various people. We have solutions for all of this and many are in progress by students across the country. right. Now similarly, is any chemical engineer here? Anybody? No chemical engineer, so I will skip that. But if you come here, OSDAG is for steel structure design, OpenFOAM is for computational fluid dynamics. Anybody interested? Mechanical engineer, anybody? So if so, OpenFOAM is useful. There we are trying to do a case study project, similar thing. Take an example already coded in some other software, recode it in OpenFOAM, send it to us. The previous one I said eSIM. You take any solved circuit from any solution, any source, resolve it using eSIM, send it to us, we will give you a honorarium certificate, we will host you. Many students are participating. So we would encourage your students to participate. They can take it and then learn and so on. So these are some of the things we are doing. Once again, this is going to be very useful for where there is no resource. We are creating resources. We are sharing it with everybody. So this will be very useful to you. Okay. So thank you for listening to me. I will make available some of these resources. Okay. So now you can see the laptop and then I will take it back after 10 minutes. Any question? There are too many things, lots of things are happening, right. On spoken tutorials alone, we wrote 10 papers, conference papers. Here. spoken-tutorial.org. In fact, what you can do is just do Google search. Spoken tutorial, that is all you need. Spoken tutorial. If you do that, very first hit is ours. Not only that, you will see that every page is ours for up to 10 pages, maybe even more. This is all ours. Spoken IIT Bombay spoken tutorial. We have trained 42 lakh students across the country during the last 6-7 years, right. Even in the 10th page, these are all spoken tutorial IIT Bombay, LaTeX training through spoken tutorials, circular of spoken tutorials project, West Bengal State University. Okay. In fact, I wanted to show you one other thing that may be useful to you. So if you see here, I just took a printout today, I think, CD 0. So this came from West Bengal Technical University, WBTU, now it is called Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad University of Technology. What are they saying? Adoption of MOOCs for BTech 8th semester students in streams of computer science. Now they are saying all these things can be taken through NPTEL, but these things they are saying that this can be taken from spoken tutorial. For BTech computer science final year students, practicals, they can actually take this as a MOOCs course. West Bengal Technical University has permitted this. So several other universities are also following it up. So it is something that you could also consider. Okay. If it is electronic circuit simulation, use eSIM. If it is mechanical engineering, use OpenFOAM. Use Scilab. Scilab is for everybody, all engineers, right. So various things are available and time is very short. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you.